A long two is still the worst shot in basketball. Worse than a 30-footer. Let's explain why. Alright guys, let's get into why long twos are bad, okay? This is a personal opinion. A lot of people are going to disagree with me. They're going to say it's outdated. This was the case like in the late 2010s. We started seeing this narrative a lot. I still think it's true. I think there's an obvious reason for that. And we'll get into that, okay? First off, there's going to be two angles as to why I think this is the case, alright? The first side is that mathematically it's bad, and I'll get into that, okay? I'm not a big analytics guy. I'm not a big statistical guy, but I like math logic and when it applies to basketball, and I'll explain how that applies in this situation. I'm not going to back it up with any actual facts, actual percentages or anything like that from data, but I'm just going to like explain it to you, and you can go fact check me because what I'm going to tell you is basically true. It is going to be supported by the data. It's just that I don't have the citations for you, okay? The second reason is that long twos are undertrained relatively, okay? On an overall scale, they're not well trained by the pros, by players. It's not something that guys really focus on much. It's one of the lesser trained aspects of offense is a bag from long two. People don't practice that shit. You have five level scorers, yes, but you generally have guys working on stuff out of the mid range, stuff getting to the basket and finishing, and anything in between there, just like floaters and stuff. I consider that finishing as well, and then threes. Guys are not working on long twos. Okay, so let's now get into each of these in a little bit more depth, okay? I've got a little bit of a notes here because I wrote this down again. I'm a big shower thinker and a big dog walking thinker. I think a lot. I should be thinking, man. So I write stuff down throughout the day, and then I come back and I film stuff when I feel like it, all right? So the mathematics side, let's get into that first, okay? One of the main reasons that long twos are bad is that they generate a lower expected value than any other shot. Okay, expected value, all right, the math concept. Let me explain it to y'all. If you, let's say we had a bet, okay? If I hit a shot, you get $0. If I miss, you get $100. Okay, let's say I shoot 50%. So it's a 50%. Let's say it's a coin flip. It's a coin flip, $100 or zero. Okay, the expected value of that coin flip for you is $50. So if I were to ask you to pay me for that opportunity to flip the coin, you would not want to pay anything above $50. Okay, and depending on your risk aversion, it just depends on like if you want to do, if you're like to take risk, you might take it at like $40, right? Because if I was like, yo, you got to pay me $40, I'm gonna flip a coin. If it's heads, you get $100. If it's tails, you get nothing. And I keep the 40. You would have to be a pretty risk-seeking individual to, I think, take that bet, right? And if it would be more if you paid like $60 for that opportunity, right? Because you're basically betting $60 to try to make a $40 profit. So the expected value of a long two is lower percentage, right? Lower percentage shot. You're not making as many of those as you are from the mid-range or from the regular mid-range or from the finishing, and you're still only getting 2 points. So let's say you're a 50% shooter from the mid-range. If you shoot a mid-range shot, your expected value on that shot is 1 point because it's 50% of 2 points, right? So you get 1 point. Basically, that is the expected value of you taking the mid-range, is you get a point out of that. If you take 10 mid-ranges, you should get 5 points on average. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's how it works. If the long two, your percentage is now 40%, right? You're not going to get a full point in expected value out of that shot. But if you back up and your shot from three is 35%, and you get 3 points out of that shot, you're going to get more. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to do the math real quick. Literally right here, okay? 0.4 times 2. That means you're getting 0.8 points in expected value from a long two, okay? 0.35 times 3. That's 1.05 points, even though you're shooting a lower percentage from 3. You see what I'm saying? Because of the fact that you're getting 50% more points from 3. 3 is greater than 2 by 50% of 2. So it's just a bad shot mathematically to be taking. You shouldn't be taking long twos if you can help it. If you're settling for a long two, I saw Anthony Edwards take one. Was not happy with that shot, frankly. As a fan of him and as a basketball coach, I was like, look, you could have worked for something. You could have done better there. Okay. So that's really why. Okay, a 2 is 66% of the point value of a 3 if you make both, right? And you're barely going to be shooting shit. But for me personally, I'd be practicing threes. Okay, so I actually shoot a higher percentage from 3 than long 2. So I'm definitely not shooting long twos, but a general average player who just practices a well-rounded thing, well-rounded training regimen, they're going to have a higher percentage from long two, barely more than their three. So it's not worth it, okay? That's the mathematical side of it, all right? Now let's get into the second part, which is the fact that this is undertrained stuff. You ever trained with a trainer? If you play basketball, you know you're not shooting long twos. You're rarely going to be shooting long twos. Most of the time, you're practicing pulling up in the mid-range. You might pump fake, pull up from the long two once in a while. But your trainer's going to have you doing different stuff, mostly out of the mid-range, finishing, and from three. Your coaches are going to be doing the same thing. Most plays are drawn up for that stuff. If you're shooting a long two, you're probably off balance. It's probably a settle. It's probably just pulling and jacking something. The play is not drawn up for that. That's not what you were trying to get. Okay? So it's just a bad shot. Most of the time, it's a bad shot. And training for it would be dumb as well. Because basically, you're training something that's the least efficient shot. If you're going to train for something, either try to train for three. I would have never said this 15, 20 years ago, but try to train to make threes at a higher clip and be more efficient in acquiring points for your team because threes are worth more than two. And that's a thing now. Now people can actually shoot from three. And even from 30 feet, right? I saw Donovan Mitchell hit a pull-up fadeaway, turning over his shoulder basically from 30 feet the other day. So guys can hit those shots, and the long two just becomes obsolete and dumb. Even the mid-range, if you think about it, the mid-range though is still, look, you can attain a relatively high percentage on your mid-range shots. You can make mid-ranges at a relatively high clip. So it's not as bad as a long two. A long two, you're not going to achieve the same percentage with the same training time as you do on a mid-range at a long two. All right? And of course, your finishing bag. You should be able to finish that at like an 80% plus clip. And in game, you need to be, if you're taking a shot within 10 feet, you should be making that shot. Contest or no contest, doesn't matter. If you're taking it and you're not forcing it and you're taking a shot that you're actually comfortable with, you're taking a floater or something that you're comfortable with, you should be making that shot. 80% is a good benchmark, but I think you should be making, there's no reason you should be missing that. If you're missing layups, right, or something finishing, if it's highly contested, why are we shooting that? Why are we chucking up a floater or acrobatic, trying to do too much, right? Let's rely on our teammates and get a good shot. So if you're going to get a two, ideally you're going to try to finish at the basket, okay? And if you're settling for a mid-range because it's wide open or something like that, or you got a good look and it's towards the end of the shot clock, whatever, and you're taking a mid-range shot, or that's your shot, that's cool too. Other than that, if you're far back enough to take what qualifies as a long two, go ahead and shoot the three instead, okay? There's seldom a situation where you are actually in need of taking a long two, unless you're settling, it's the end of the shot clock, whatever. You can take that step back before you pick up your dribble and shoot a three, or give it to your teammate, give it up, and try to create a better shot for your team. I highly disagree with taking long twos. That's my personal opinion, okay? I don't think they're an efficient shot in basketball. People don't have to agree with me. A lot of people may not. In fact, many won't. Many will think that, hey, that's not, whatever, man. Like, people can shoot these days. Like, I'm going to shoot this because I want to, and I'm comfortable shooting it. I just want to be comfortable in the game, and I don't want to be thinking too much about it. But I'm just telling you, it's an inefficient shot. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about long twos. I think long twos are trash. It's not a good shot to take. Like I said, it's just it hurts the team if you're taking those. But put your opinion down below in the comments. Like the video. Comment for me, please. I know it's a controversial take. It's an unpopular opinion, perhaps. Go ahead and let me hear it. Subscribe to the channel. Okay, it'll help me grow. I really appreciate that. A lot of y'all have been doing that. Thank you for that. And peace and love. All right, catch you in the next video.